All right, there we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody. This is a District 33 community meeting about proposed development at 6103 Mountain View Road. I am Councilmember Berkley Allen, Councilmember at Large, asked by Mayor Jim Schulman to just keep this conversation going and see if we could move forward with just ensuring that neighbors' concerns are effectively communicated and incorporated. I have had the privilege of watching 3 of your community meetings, so now I sort of know the names, but it'll be fun to actually get to know y'all. And if you could help me out by putting your name and the street you live on in the chat, if you don't mind doing that, that would just sort of help me locate folks. I'll check that later. That'll be a big help for me. And I'm trying to write down names as y'all come in. I'm excited to be here. I have talked with Councilmember Lee about this, and I appreciate the work she has done to have the proposed developers present this to you repeatedly and to allow questions to be asked. And I want to start by sort of summing up what I've heard in the 3 recorded meetings that I listened to. And then I will turn it over to first Balin Dahl from Meritage, and then would welcome further conversation from the neighbors. I think that Balin has got some alternatives to show you, which I appreciate very much his working to come up with, and maybe to also provide some information that answers some of the questions that I heard raised as y'all were discussing this. And again, I appreciate the discussion that Councilmember Lee has facilitated throughout this. So what I heard was that there's a proposal for 114 units, some townhomes, some single family, and that the land is proposed to be rezoned from AR2 and R8 to a specific plan, and that offers the opportunity for neighbors' concerns to be directly incorporated into the official document. So that's an opportunity for things that are important, y'all, to become written in stone, as it were, and part of the council record. So that's one of the advantages of going that route. With the plan that was proposed, I think that, as is often the case, the concern is a proposed increase in density, because with that comes new traffic. There is also parking that needs to be thought through carefully. The neighborhood schools are already full to capacity, and this will increase the load on the schools. As is always the case, we treasure our green space and trees, and putting buildings on what is currently green space reduces that. And there were also some questions not necessarily related to density, but just, is there the opportunity to provide some ADA compliant housing? Is there the opportunity to, within the green space that does remain, to provide great trails to get to that? And also just a desire for many of the neighbors here to attract, if we're going to bring the kind of density that it takes to bring retail, it also takes people that will spend money at the retail. So I heard a request for houses that are of a quality that will bring neighbors that will spend, that will buy, that will visit retail, should that also be attracted to the area. So those are concerns that I heard about the proposed plan. Some issues that I did see that I know have frequently been part of requests from neighbors. They are being built as a for sale product. They have built into the SP, which you can do, that the materials would not be vinyl, but would consist of brick and hardy board. There was money to be dedicated for traffic improvements, and at least some of the units would have backloaded garages as opposed to front-loaded garages. So that is my summary of what I have seen put in front of y'all through 3 different meetings. There were some where y'all had a lot of material to deal with and you weren't able to discuss, and others where you spent quite a bit of time discussing valid concerns that I hope we can further flesh out here. Perhaps some can be incorporated into changes, and then we'll talk about what to do moving forward. And I think I saw Councilmember Lee here, and I appreciate you being here, and also you giving me the opportunity to sort of jump in and perhaps bring a fresh perspective and a larger than one council district perspective to this. So with that, the next item on the agenda is to ask Balin Dahl if you will share your screen and show us sort of where we were and maybe what some options are to incorporate some of the changes that have been suggested. So now we'll find out if that screen sharing is working like it did before. Looks like it is.
Okay, so thank you for the introduction. Thank you for everyone being on here. I know this is, I believe, our 4th meeting we've had. So this is the site plan that we've discussed, the 2nd and 3rd meeting. So I wanted to show this to see kind of where we were when we left off on our last one. This has a rear loaded townhome section here along Mountain View, rear loaded here, front loaded towns here, and then front loaded single family on this area. Obviously, this is the one that we liked. We felt like it was a nice project for the community. There is a stoplight that's going to be funded, I believe, late 2022. It'll be completed, which will be before we open. So that's a good thing. We try to keep the network of streets with the way planning department requested. So after a lot of iterations and discussions upon the previous community meetings, we've come up with a new plan, which we like, and I think I hope you guys like it as well. This here is going to be single family as well in this block, front load single family, traditional. Over here, we've replaced the townhomes with detached rear loaded single family. So if you come down Mount View, you'll see the front of the houses here. I've got some renderings I can show you guys. So we've eliminated the towns. We've reduced the density by almost 18%. By eliminating the towns and bringing in another style of single family, it's going to increase the price of these homes, which, to Councilmember Allen's point in previous points in meetings, the price point is going to be higher. It's going to be more affluent people in here, and hopefully we'll draw some more retail to the area. I think in discussing with traffic, I love that there's going to be a traffic light in here. We have kept the road network the same, as I mentioned. This is an area here that we have a minor wetland impact that we're staying out of. And so I wanted to illustrate that. I know green space is important. Once we get a little more dialed in on this site plan, it'll be a little more detailed as far as street trees, landscaping, walking paths. But we tend to, any green space we have, we're going to try to activate it with walking paths, pocket parks, dog parks, things like that. So, I think we've come a good ways from our first meeting, gosh, a year and a half ago almost. We will have some trees here buffering the backs of these homes. I don't know the certain caliber of trees that we'll have there, but we will do some sort of buffering. I know that was an issue between those homes. We will come out right here at the school entrance. I think we've got Brick and Hardy on all these products here, and I'll show you these now. And then we'll go through this, and then we'll take questions. But I just wanted to show this. This is also a green area here, so kind of a Paseo Park. And then these are front porches of these homes here. So it's a pretty welcoming, walkable community. So right now, these are for our single family floor plans. That's the square footage banding. These are some of the ranch plans, the smaller plans that we're going to have. We'll do brick usually on what we call water table, and then Hardy on the rest, and then 3 sides Hardy board. So you can see it's kind of a craftsman style that we'd like to do here. I think it's a very tasteful community. There will be a very tasteful community. So these are as the plans get larger. Our bungalows, which are the detached, there's a square footage band in here. These are some of our renderings of the streetscape that you'll see along Mountain View Road and Hamilton Church, and as well as within the community. So I hope now that you've seen these, we can kind of envision what it's going to look like along this park here and going along Mountain View Road. That's what I've got. So we've reduced density almost 18%. We've increased our average sales price in here quite a bit. We've got a traffic light coming in, which is great. These will be brick and hardy. And I will open up for questions or comments. Hopefully we've met some of the criteria that you guys have voiced.
So thank you, Balin, for that. I do not see an option for hand raising, so I'm going to ask people if you will acknowledge that you want to speak, and we'll try to. I do see Diane Polnitz has figured it out. Diane, you are recognized.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. Tell us how you do that.
Yeah, I just went to more and hit raise hand.
Gotcha. Thank you. Okay.
No.
Tell us what's on your.
I've just got a couple things. First, I know that there was a mention to a traffic light. I wanted to confirm the location of that traffic light. Is it on the corner of Hamilton Church and Mountain View Road? That's my first question. And then second question, I know there was mention to a buffer. Again, my house would be directly impacted by that buffer zone because we're exactly on the opposite side of the new development. So I'd like to see if we can get a confirmation on how wide that buffer is going to be, at least at some point. And then the third thing that I have is I live off of Maple Timber Drive, and there is a lot of kids that live on our street. And it's my understanding the street will be opened up to the new development. Is that a necessity to have the street open? I'm concerned about increased traffic. And if it is a necessity, what can be done to help mitigate the increased traffic on Maple Timber Drive? And that's all my questions. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you for those. We will do a heavily buffered area here with trees. The distance, my guess here would probably be about 60 feet from the back of your property line here to the back of the home. Maybe a little longer. This road here was based upon planning. Our first couple passes with planning staff, we did not connect to it. So this was done at the city as well as this road here. So this was not our idea. And what's the other questions? There's the streets, this road. One more. What was the third question?
And also the traffic light on Hamilton Church and Mountain View.
It's right here. It's going to be a four-way traffic light right here.
Okay, I can't see that from my view. Can you confirm which street those are adjacent to?
It'll be at Hamilton and Mountain View Church, or Hamilton and Mountain View Road.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Good question. Other hands raised. Rosie, if you can help me see raised hands, that would be great. I'm going to look in the chat as well. How many homes? Can you repeat, Balin, about the number of homes?
Sure. We're going to have 94 total homes. So we'll have approximately 40 of the bungalows, these here, and then we'll have 54 here.
Gotcha. 54 there. There was a question about how much brick there would be.
The brick, if we go back here, what we do is we call it a water table here. And that's really what consumers are aiming towards now, rather than the heavy look of brick on the entire facade. It's a clean look. And so this is, cementitious board, hardy board. But this is kind of the style that we'd like to go with, and it's kind of what's marketable and what's selling.
Okay, I think there's and John, I see your hand, and then Larry. I think you're still muted, John.
There we go.
There you go.
Well, thank you, Council Lady Allen. Extended comment. I'm glad to see that that Meritage has decided to modify their proposal based on some of the suggestions that we have given over the last 3 meetings. And maybe that's because you are at the table now. And we'll just hope that's the case.
I think it's just a group effort too.
But let's be clear. There really has been no significant and meaningful interchanges. Somebody's got their microphone on.
Can everyone unmute? There we go.
There's been no significant and meaningful interchanges between the community and the developer to date. It's all been kind of, it's your usual developer presents, and then neighbors ask questions and ask for things. But in this case, there was no give and take, and literally there was no give from the developer up until this moment in time. And we appreciate them doing so. Despite being disrespected in the past, I think that the community would still be willing to begin anew in discussing the attributes needed to increase this land's entitlements. And for folks, entitlements is the thing that makes people money. Currently, the land is entitled to have 12 units of housing built upon it, and they're asking for 94. So while he's decreased his request 19%, he's still looking for a 900% increase in the density on this land, which is
John, can I interject for just a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just to looking at the planning analysis document, I think there's an error in there. And on the AR2, there is 12 units that could be built there. On the R8 section, there are 27 that could be built there, or something close to that.
So it's only a 300% increase.
Just want to make sure you're doing your math right. That's correct.
So it's incorrect. Okay, got it. I'll make those changes in my document.
Yeah.
However, in order to increase this land's entitlements, I think it's reasonable for all stakeholders to benefit. I don't think that it's something that we can do by Zoom in a large group environment that we're engaged in. I've given Council Lady Allen a process that we've been using here in Cane Ridge rather successfully, but that's up to her. However, in furtherance of that possibility, I went and visited 2 of your developments recently, one in Hermitage, and then of course the one in Cane Ridge. I was delighted to see that in Hermitage you integrated landscaped traffic circles at the entranceway and the interior of the development. I also really loved the long entryway with its long tree-lined road. Am I wrong, or wasn't there a lot of brick used in those buildings? We'll just say there was. In Cane Ridge, we have a lovely entryway with a large, and if you can give up the sharing, I'll share my screen here in a minute. entering the area, you have all brick, single-family homes that appear to be rear-loaded, which is great. Here in Antioch, we're trying to increase the current and future Nashvillians' health, safety, well-being, and prosperity. There's a significant disparity in looking at some analytical tools between the property valuations in Antioch and the averages in Davidson County. And this is presenting problems for Antioch in any number of ways. We believe that Antioch deserves neighborhoods that are the same or better than our friends and neighbors around the region. We think to make that a reality, we're going to need to focus on a number of critical areas, but this evening's meeting is focused on but one: new housing. We believe that moving forward, development and redevelopment must create higher price point properties while ensuring that workforce housing options are included as part of every new neighborhood's plan.
So John, does that mean we should put some townhomes back, or what kind of product works well as workforce housing?
Say that again at Berkeley.
Yeah, my audio doesn't always work well. What would work well as workforce housing?
I think what you have to do is integrate smaller, established, and guaranteed for the future smaller units within these areas. The idea is that, well, and you know how that works. You've been around long enough. There really isn't a whole lot of product that's created by that. I think your knowledge base probably understands that dadus are a distinct possibility as a way of implementing workforce housing within new development as well as old.
John, I'm going to give you about 2 more minutes. If I got several more people with their hand raised.
I am happy to give it up. We have 5 or 6 pages of ideas that we would like the developer to incorporate into this development and any other development coming into Antioch, Priest Lake, Cane Ridge community. I appreciate the elevations that the gentleman provided. Berkeley, can you give me?
I believe that you have it. Try it and see.
All right, let me get to it. All right.
Remember your 2 minutes if you don't mind.
Well, feel free to. It won't be the first time, right?
I don't think my hook reaches that far.
Let's see. Okay, so I'll try to do my best here. Let's find you. Let's find share screen.
Yeah, it should be.
Let's pick the right screen. Okay, so this is, you're seeing a house, right?
Yep.
Okay, so this is a Meritage home in Columbia. It has the desirable elements that we're looking for: a front porch. I don't know that it's big enough. I can't really tell from this thing. And it looks like it is rear loaded. So there's a quality design. West Wind Reserve, wherever it is, still has the porch, has a front loaded garage, but it's less as oppressive than the ones that they just showed us.
Yep.
Here's one of their projects in Gallatin. Here's an all brick townhome community that even without the front porch, the one looks like a 1-car garage to me, but it certainly looks like a higher price point project to me, but that's just my opinion. Holland Ridge in Lebanon, another brick and stone mixture, porch. Still don't know much about it, but that is the kind of options we'd like to see. I'm sorry, but the Balin, the elevations that you show in the beginning really kind of look like, I won't even say. But we'd love to continue the conversation, but you really can't do it here. You've got to do it other ways.
Well, at the end of this meeting, we'll work on creating that option. Thank you for those thoughts. I think Larry was next and then Melissa. I think you're muted, Larry.
This is great discussion. I'm sorry it's taken a fourth meeting to get to this point. We certainly, as Councilmember Allen did an excellent summary. We've raised much of this in prior meetings. Two areas of concern. Square footage gives us an idea of the size of the home, but the total bedrooms are what is really going to dictate parking needs and develop the school's impact. And those are the two areas I'm always concerned about. We see developments go in without enough parking, and then people are parking on the street and it starts to look junky very quickly. And as we already know, the school directly across the street, Thomas Edison, is already overcrowded. The staff report from the previous submittal that Meritage did to the planning department indicated that the school impact on Thomas Edison would be 23 additional students. I mean, that's getting near a full classroom. And then also a heavy impact on Antioch High School, which is already past capacity. So we have some real concerns about the schools as well. Also, the offering that was in the staff report for tomorrow's Planning Commission meeting indicated $50,000 toward traffic improvement. And Councilmember Allen, I cannot get my hands around what the funding actually is for the signalization of that intersection. I'd love to find that information and have some reassurance about that. Also, for what it's worth, we can signalize like crazy, but Carmel, Indiana has had tremendous success with changing from signalization to traffic circles. It keeps traffic moving and is, the signalization's really heavy at certain times, but at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, further down Mount View Road, at Murfreesboro Road, it's backed up, and only about 6 cars can get through per signal change. That's all I have to offer.
Thank you. That's a interesting point to raise. So we'll add that to our list of things to look at. I appreciate that. Melissa and then Sheila. I think I did that in the right order.
Hi, council member. I have a couple things to say. I'm on the neighborhood watch and the board of directors for my neighborhood. And for a couple of years now, we've been dealing with crime and such. So I'm very concerned about this because we don't have the resources. I know that they're going to build a precinct, but it's not built yet. And the officers are not hired yet. So we still are down officers. And this is a very great concern to me and to our neighborhood. We actually had to hire private patrol because it was that bad. and bringing more people, it's not good. It's just not gonna help us. The schools are overcrowded. I feel that we're talking about this development, but they haven't built the land or bought the land yet. They're not entitled to build these homes. If you look around, look at the corner of Hudson Pike and Murfreesboro Road, they're building, I don't know how many apartments, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. So we're just getting attacked in Antioch. And I don't see why we're discussing another development. What is the benefit to the citizens that live in this community, in the district? What are we getting? That traffic light is not gonna help us. It's gonna back up. It's not gonna help. So I think this, I'm not in support of this at all, because they're building already so many developments that they didn't have to go through us to have a say. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Sheila Hayes.
Hey guys, I'm actually the listing agent for the property at 6103 Mount View Road. My family owns that property. I grew up in Mount Juliet, but also on that farm. So I do have a vested interest in what happens with this property. It's not just a piece of land to me or to my family. I just wanted to address that first. I know on a couple of the Zoom meetings in the past, it's been said that the sellers only care about money. And I don't believe that's a fair statement, because it's not true. My grandparents bought that house in 1977, and they've been active members of the community their entire lives. They cared about the community as well. So when they passed away, we were left with the property. That's the inheritance that was given to my mom and her two brothers. So I know some of you may not care about that, but I would just ask you to put yourself in our shoes. And what would you do? I personally spent many phone calls and meetings and trips to downtown to planning to discuss the potential of the property, what could be done, what we would not like to see in the area. I vetted many phone calls about people wanting to put apartments there, commercial stuff, retail space, and along with Nashville, if you've looked at the Nashville Next initiative, this area is rated for T3NE, which is neighborhood evolving, which means that they want it to look similar to what's around it. So the questions about how come Antioch is downgraded, I don't believe that's a fair statement either. The community that surrounds this property, all of those houses are very similar to what Balin has presented. Now, we chose to work with Meritage, not just because they presented an offer for the property, but also because they have a good reputation. They are a nationwide builder. They build great communities. You can drive around Nashville and look at all the communities that they're putting up, and they're right in line with all of the new builds that are happening. The $500,000 house that they're building out in Gallatin wouldn't sell in Antioch. From a realtor's perspective, the demographic in Antioch does not support that. The average home price in Antioch is $299,000, which is $170 a square foot. The average price for a house in Nashville, Davidson County as a whole, is $360,000. So we have to stay within that demographic if we want these houses to sell, and we also need them to be similar to what's in the area. So I was able to talk to the traffic department, the NDOT that was on the last community meeting. They assured me that the materials have been ordered for the traffic light, and they said that in 6 to 8 months, those materials should come in. They should start construction, and everything should be completed by the end of next year, which would be before this project even really got started. So I appreciate all of your input, but I really feel like we have worked hard, and we've worked with the planning department to build a community that would fit with everything that's around it and to take care of the needs that Nashville as a whole has. So that's all I've got.
Thank you. And we appreciate you being here to listen to neighbors, and it's helpful to hear your perspective as an owner and to hear about the research you did. I see next Anthony and then Darius.
Yes, how you doing? I just have a couple questions. One, it's already congested in that area because of the school. If you try to go down there around 3 o'clock or so, it's like a nightmare. Kids are trying to come out of school, you're trying to get down the street. A stoplight is not going to do that. It's going to help, but it's not going to do that. Second thing, a lot of builders coming to Nashville now, what they're doing is they're building homes and building apartments, but they're leasing them. They're not giving owners, making owners out of the houses. So these houses are like leased houses. Where I live, got leased houses and people just come in and they're leasing it, so they have no responsibility. They trash, they tear up stuff. So is this gonna be houses that you're gonna buy, lease? And then we had to figure out something with the traffic situation. And how come we can't get like more businesses in here versus we got 1,000 apartments and condos and whatever you want in here, but we have no place to eat. We have no place to go and relax with the family. We just basically got a house and traffic. That's all.
I'm gonna ask Balin to answer that first question, and then Councilmember Lee and I can talk about the second one. So Balin,
Okay.
you talk about the lease versus for sale option.
Sure, these will be for sale. We don't do any for lease products, so these will be fee simple to homeowners.
That's that one. The second question, Anthony asked about other uses, and some of that is a function of the current zoning and the community plan. And I'm gonna defer to Councilmember Lee on where y'all are in just staying current on your community plan. That's the long-term planning document. I see John shaking his head, so he may have some information as well. But that says, you know, this is a suburban area. It's going to be all houses for a long way, and that's just what we've decided we want. Or there's a process to go through and say, actually, at some of these key intersections, it would be great to have some small commercial districts where we could have a restaurant and a coffee shop and things like that. And that's a process that I think the kind of community process that is bigger than just a single community meeting, of working with the planning department to say, you know, we want to look at some of these larger streets and talk about making some changes as a community to the zoning, or at least to the policy that planning looks at when they change zoning, to do that. And I'm not that familiar, I apologize, with all of that down there.
Because they had said that when Publix moved in off of Murfreesboro Road, they came back and said it was shops and whatever there. That to me seems that it's fallen apart. We got something they're building over there. We don't know until they actually put a sign up to the building. But I mean, planning should be for the people kind of in the neighborhood. I mean, because we have to come home this way, we have to live this way. And so sometimes it seems like things are just being crammed down our throats from people who don't live in this area.
Right.
They don't get ideas from the people living in there because we come home to this every night. So that's
I hear that frustration, right? And I think that's a bigger issue that y'all as a community should have, but just to look comprehensively at your zoning and see where it allows those kinds of commercial uses, or making the change to allow it at certain key places. That's a future meeting, but it's a really important question. So I'm glad you asked it. Darius, hope I said that right.
Yeah, it's Darius.
Darius, okay.
Yeah. So I was listening. I actually had a question, but I kind of wanted to respond to Ms. Sheila's comments in reference to our area. I'm getting some feedback from someone.
Everybody
Thank
mute.
you. So, you know, as I heard the comments about the work, and I certainly appreciate Ms. Sheila and what she's done to prepare to present this plan to the community. I do understand that when things are passed down from family members, they are very special, and that you try your best to do what's right for the community in the future. But as I heard her state, you know, placing ourselves in her shoes, certain things came to mind. The first one is, you know, if I was selling a property that my family owned in a community, and the community was struggling with crime. I mean, we recently had 3 major issues that happened in Antioch over the past week. right? Week and a half. So that's one piece. The second thing is the schools are overcrowded. I talked to several members of the community consistently, and they're constantly stating to me that there's 30 plus kids per classroom, right? Studies have shown that's not good teaching, nor can kids consume and fully understand what's being taught with that many students in the classroom. I mean, look at colleges. That's at the limit of a university. So that's the second piece. And then the last piece is just the overall quality of life. As we've heard, that intersection where they're trying to build these homes is congested, right? Putting a traffic light will not solve the problem. And so we continue to have these conversations about what's benefiting the community. And again, I appreciate the work that has been going on, but I think it really takes, the developer working with the community and fully understanding what can we do to get solutions. I haven't heard any funds being donated to Metro schools to build new schools. I mean, we are over capacity with every school, middle, elementary, and high. So those are key things that, again, we just cannot look past. And again, throwing houses on a land does not always solve a problem. And I think that's what we're trying to get in this district. We're not against developments, but we're trying to be strategic and thoughtful when things are coming to our area so that we can have a better life. Putting homes there without police presence, with schools overcrowding and lack of resources, that's not going to do anything but run down a community. And that's going to cause people in this district to move out because the government and city officials are not listening to the requests and issues that we're having. So again, I think it's a bigger conversation. I don't think it's moving a development to another council member at large to try to solve a problem. This is something that takes thoughtful and genuine interest into making sure that this community is actually benefiting. So I think that that's an important piece that we as members of District 33 have to fully understand and have that support from our county officials. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. There are a couple of questions in the chat I want to bring out, and then we'll respond to some of those. Someone said there's an auto zone being built next to the Publix. It may not be what you need necessarily, which goes back to the same question of how do you get developers to check with the community first before they decide what to build. Let's see. Okay, I hear much nodding of heads being confirmed in the chat of the concerns and the issues that have been raised, and some of these are ones that have come up before, and that reducing density is part of the solution to that. I think having Public Works respond to the question about the traffic circle. I know traffic circle is great for cars and scary for people. So there may need to be just a more comprehensive look at, is that necessarily the best way to make it safe for children to get to school? But it's good to raise options on that one. I appreciate that. Are there further hands raised for questions? Billy, you're muted. Billy, can you unmute?
I should be now.
There you are. Now we can hear you.
Okay, good. I'm glad Sheila Hayes was on here. I appreciate her comments, and I don't disagree with them. I can understand the perspective of this thing from an owner's position. All of these comments, of course, they're valid. I mean, they're valid points. I'll admit to that. Valid concerns. They're all negative. I guess my question now, all these meetings are strictly about zoning changes. Fine. And based on meetings like this, which I've been in quite a few of them now, there's nothing going to be approved zoning wise for building homes or anything else. I mean, based on the content that we're getting here. I guess, why do we even have the meetings? I don't see the developers cannot afford this want list that's being put out on these meetings. The developer needs to make a profit. It's that simple. These ideals, which they're good, they sound good, They simply will not fit into the developer's plans, I don't think. So we're at a brick wall there. And just as an example, say we froze all future zoning changes for homes, say for 2 years, give people a chance to catch up. That's probably not going to solve the problem. Now, I guess I'm trying to get to my question here, and it's a question for the council member, probably a legal question. Even though you freeze the zoning changes, you're still going to have developments on land that does not require zoning.
Mhm.
Melissa brought up the point about the apartments at Hobson Pike, Murfreesboro Road. 332 apartments there. It's new. In addition, there's 107 townhomes adjacent to that that's now being constructed. There's no chance. I mean, those are there. If you think that Metro has such a substantial problem in overcrowding, school, traffic, everything, does the council have the authority to freeze building permits so that we can freeze everything for 2 years, catch up, and then be happy forever? Does my question make sense?
I like that be happy forever part.
I was exaggerating that.
I do not have the legal expertise to answer that well. You know, do we have the authority to freeze everything? I would say that
I'm not recommending that be done, by the way. I'm just asking a question.
I don't know that we do, and as you know, it would have some noteworthy consequences, just given the lack of housing that we have that is making it hard for people to afford to live in Nashville, which is a crazy problem. And I understand that those of us who are here now would love to freeze it exactly where it is, but most of us are living in something that was a development at some point. So it's not an easy question for sure, and I appreciate you raising the.
But let me ask just one more question, kind of unrelated to that.
Okay.
I was going through the Planning Commission documentation on this meeting, and I noticed the thing called Nashville DOT recommendation. I looked that up, and it's a Nashville Department of Transportation, which is a new department just back in July, I think.
That's right.
And as I understand it, that's department's function is to start concentrating on traffic issues like we're discussing in this meeting. Am I understanding that correctly? It's something new that hasn't been there in the past that may be available to help alleviate some of these traffic concerns, or, you know, it ain't gonna solve this traffic problem. I've been living here 40 years. I know how traffic is out here. Rush hour is awful.
It is.
But is it the purpose of that department to help alleviate some of these traffic concerns?
It is the traffic wing of Public Works that has been set aside to focus solely on all modes of transportation, which includes people walking on sidewalks and people riding bikes on bike lanes, as well as the cars and the buses that are using the middle of the road. So they've been sort of pulled apart so that they can focus on how do we make every road work well for all modes of transportation, which is why a traffic circle might be the best solution, but I think we have to look at it in the viewpoint of how will that also work for children that may be trying to walk to school. So that's a great question. We are going to try to save about 10 minutes just to talk about timeline and what happens from here. So I'm going to let Linda ask her question, and then maybe try to talk about why we've had yet one more meeting and what difference that can make in how this process continues to move forward. So Linda, you're up.
Oh, thank you, Councilwoman. I believe Melissa has she has stated my concerns also about the lack of resources as far as police officers here, that it's lacking in that area. We've been told that they really don't have sufficient police officers in the area. And also, it's been said over and over again. I hate to sound like I'm beating a dead horse, but the traffic is just horrendous even now. So I'm thinking with folks working at home, it's looking that way. What about a couple years from now, even a year, when a lot of people will go back to work? In Mount View and Hamilton Road, that's impossible. If you get caught there coming in this way around 4 o'clock, 5:30, you're in a line of traffic and you have nowhere to go but creep, creep, creep until you get to the stop sign. So real concerns I'm having here, as I've heard voice, that is just, and I agree with the gentleman, Billy, that says we need to have a freeze on building permits for a while here, because everything is going up at one time. So it looks like we don't have a chance to address one building issue before there's another one going up. Multiple buildings are going up at the same time. So this is a problem. That is my concern. And thank you for allowing me to express what I'm hearing already.
I appreciate that. I will say, I don't know what the timing is on the new precinct, but that it was included in the capital spending plan. So being funded is the way to get things to start happening. So I appreciate the concern with crime. I think that is huge. And I believe that that precinct is something that will be seen as some of this new development comes online, and hopefully that will address some of those crime issues. I'm going to take a break.
It's been funded already? It's been funded?
Yes, it was in the capital spending plan. So that is happening. And you can thank your council members for advocating tirelessly for that. I would say relentlessly, but they got the job done. So kudos to them for that. So that is something that's in the pipeline. So just because I think my Zoom may shut off at 7 and I don't want to not get to what happens from here. As someone raised in the chat, I think it was Larry, this is currently on the Planning Commission agenda tomorrow. I had asked Mr. Dahl if he could be responsive to the issues that have been raised at the very effective meetings y'all have had in the past. And as in response to that, there's a different plan shown to y'all tonight for feedback. In terms of what happens at Planning Commission tomorrow, I guess I'm going to invite Balin to jump into this conversation as well. I suspect if this group were to say, we are moving in the right direction now, let's at least start with that, or put together the small working group that John has suggested as quickly as we can to further have conversation on what's good. Do we want to talk more about materials and have some buildings be all brick, just other issues that have come up to further flesh those out. So in terms of what happens tomorrow, I think it would be helpful for Mr. Dahl to know, Balin, if the proposed change from 114 units down to 94 is at least a step in the right direction, and we can continue working in that direction. And so perhaps what's right now shown to the Planning Commission is not necessarily what we want to talk about. So I would think we are going to be more productive if we don't necessarily have a public hearing at planning tomorrow. I see some heads nodding, and I would like to suggest that that's because we feel like we can continue this conversation and get to a place that that is not, don't build anything, because I think that's, as Ms. Hayes has said, that property has served one function, it's ready to move on to the next. Let's just try to figure out what that is that works for all involved. Balin, can I get you to jump in here and let us know what options we should consider realistic?
Yeah, I think, we were planning on going to planning commission tomorrow. If we get, a little better feeling on this plan that we presented tonight over the other one, I think that's progress. A small group meeting, if we were to have that, I'd want to do it pretty quickly
Mhm.
for a month. That's I think doable. Continue to listen. I feel like we're moving in the right direction. As far as some of the elevations, we can jazz them up. The Taylor Landing community is actually the same plans as we would build here. So, we can do those elevations. As far as the Stone Hall community with the 4 sides brick, believe it or not, buyers aren't wanting 4 sides brick right now. They're wanting the hardy board, and we're in the business of building and selling houses. So that's why we kind of lean towards the hardy board. Brick is not that more expensive to build as a cost. It's just kind of what's working right now. We do some brick on it, but everybody's picking hardy. So we can work on that. So yeah, I'm open for a small group meeting if we can do it soon. And then we'll go back to planning with a new package. I have a call with my engineer in the morning, and then we'll resubmit to planning staff.
That sounds like a plan. So I think that the 2 things then that need to happen is we'll communicate tomorrow just to confirm deferral at planning so that people don't feel obligated to go down there because they are real meetings now. And I'll work through Councilmember Lee on that because she's got the database and Rosie can help as well. And then to put the small working group together as quickly as we can. And I think, I will work with Councilmember Lee on who the touch points should be to put that together, because I'm still getting to know y'all, which I'm having fun at. But I don't want to presume tonight to know how best to put that together. I have some ideas, but we'll try to make that happen tomorrow as well. We have, I think 4 minutes left. I think to wrap this up, John, I'll give you 2 of them, and then see if anybody else has comments.
Councilor Allen, thank you for being very open-minded, as you always are, analytical, as you always are.
Engineer.
What if people who are interested in engaging in closer discussions email you or whomever? I'm happy to get them, but it may be more appropriate that berkley.allen@nashville.gov gets emails from folks interested in working in the details, in the weeds, shall we call them. Thank you very much, Berkley. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate all the thoughtfulness that has gone into this. I think everyone involved wants this to be good for your area. And it just takes rehashing things repeatedly, I think, to finally get there. So I appreciate everyone's willingness to continue to engage. And for those who put your addresses in the chat, I appreciate that. And I have, Larry says, click the 3 dots bottom right, choose save chat, so we can do that. I've also just pasted it to a Word document, which I can share with everyone as well. And we have recorded this, and Rosie will get it on the website if there are any neighbors that missed that. So look for some more communications in the morning, and I appreciate everyone being here. And it's a pleasure getting to know a new part of town that I've only seen from the Cane Ridge Community Club dinners, which I miss. So hope those get started again soon. I think we are nearing 7 o'clock. Are there any other closing thoughts anyone wants to throw out there? All right, well, I thank the owner and the developer for being willing to continue to listen to us. And I think I appreciate folks being specific about what we need. And John, if you can send that document to me yet again, I could not find it this afternoon. So
which one?
I'm sure it's my incompetence. The process plan, I think.
Yes, ma'am. Happy to do it.
Okay, that'd be great. That'd be great. But if there are no further parting comments, I'm going to stop recording and adjourn this meeting. Thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, everybody.
Thank you.